here, who from here on out will be known as the Gamer. Eddie, the Gamer, from the hospital straight to the recording studio. Here we are. Nothing is too good for all of you.
Hi.
So, are you feeling a little peckish, a little woozy? Do you have amp energy in one hand and rockstar in the other?
No, there's of the many things I have to do is probably cut down on the 5 energy drinks a day. It's not a lot, but I have to balance it with equal amounts of water. So lots of vitamin water because I hate water. Water has been showing up at the door. So thanks to all you who sent kind words, and even two people thus far who sent online gifts and cards and stuff. That was very cute. It is appreciated.
All right. Well, we've got 8 games this evening, Eddie. We have the big question off the top is we already know that Jonas Valanciunas is rolled out.
Yep.
But what is going on with Anthony Davis? We kind of thought he'd be sitting on back-to-backs. It was leaked or learned today that the NBA said they were going to fine the Pelicans $100,000 for every game he does not play, which I don't know that that's exactly fair because this whole thing is just a mess. It's one of those bonfire of the vanities moments where everybody's kind of lying.
Yeah, it's. I mean, to comment on that real quickly, there's no good answer at this point. Okay, and it's because of the fact that the system is set up fairly poorly. So what I mean, for example, is there was a whole thing with steroids in baseball for a long time, and you can take any opinion you want of anyone who did that or didn't do that or anything else, but the issue is the fact that the system had been set up to make it smart to use steroids. So it wasn't, don't get me wrong, the players shouldn't have done it depending on your ethical feelings on the situation, but the issue was it simply wasn't disincentivized enough. So the NBA has set up a system where it does not make sense for Anthony Davis to play. If Anthony Davis, tears his Achilles in a month, he sets the franchise back a decade. He just literally goes, oh, you guys won't win anything ever. He will cost them 4 first-round picks and several other good players. I mean, it's an unbelievable price to pay. But at the same time, the league has taken a reasonable position that, hey, when your guys are healthy, you have to play them, which in a vacuum is fine. But the issue is that they've set up a scenario where they're now forcing a team to act against its best interests. So the league is doing what it needs, which is we need our star players to play. Cool. And Anthony Davis is doing what's best for him again. And I think it was Van Gundy said something similar to this last night, where he's like, okay, I have to do what's best for my career. Cool. And then we're just going to tell the Pelicans that, no, you also have to do what's best for the league. So it is a bit of an unreasonable kick in the balls to be like, no, he's got to play lots. And I know it doesn't make sense as a risk for you, but you either have to trade him before you would want to, or so it's just a shit situation. But who is to blame is the league, because the system is set up that this is not an unforeseeable conclusion. So it's one of those things where I don't blame insurance companies for not doing a great job at providing healthcare. It's set up so that we have a free market, and their responsibility is a fiduciary one to their shareholders and so forth. So they're making as much money as possible. That's not their fault. They're doing what they're supposed to do in the system. Congress, we have set up a system where you need to make $10,000 a day to get reelected to Congress every few years. So we cannot then complain where they're all, have someone who they're bought and sold by, some lobbyist or some company somewhere. The system is jacked up and the system needs to be improved. Until it is, trying to blame the player or the team is besides the point. They're just systems with systemic flaws where this will happen again and again and again. So, no DFS relevance there, but a frustrating situation to be sure.
All right, let's work on through here. We can hit this stuff game by game. There's going to be some games that we will just kind of move quickly through. Others will take some time because there are some phenomenal number of plays today, both from a pricing standpoint and matchup standpoint, especially
really are.
For an 8-game slate. It's kind of concentrated into 3 games, and there is stuff and things on both sides. So this will be pretty good. The biggest moving part, Eddie, and we were talking about this pre-show, I just found it, Wilson Chandler is still a week to 2 weeks away. So hockey line changes happened during the trade deadline here for the Clips. But we'll start off here with our lone 7 o'clock game. That would be the Pacers versus Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland coming in on a back-to-back. We just got notes that, David Nwaba, Matt Dellavedova, Marquise Chris, and Brandon Knight will all be on minutes limits Saturday, but they are all available to play. We have a great matchup here. Miles Turner going against most likely Larry Nance, and vice versa. Turner somehow manages to get more blocks than rebounds in some games, but this could invert itself, hopefully. And he is at 6,700 there on DraftKings, so Turner is pretty good. What do you like from this game?
Yeah, that's all right. So removing, I'm about to upload my rankings, but removing Chris and Nwaba, who I previously had as certainly tolerable plays. If you're telling me you have a minutes limit on David Nwaba, then okay, I'm out. Like, there was certainly a theory there that Kevin Love isn't going to play after his cup of coffee yesterday, and that they're not going to run him out there again. So that made you like several other people a lot more, one of which would be Larry Nance, who I still like quite a bit, but the other of which would have been David Nwaba, who spends time at the 2, the 3, the 4, could have even started at the 4. This game could have gone very interesting for him in a few ways. If they're going to put a minutes limit on him, he's not a good enough fantasy basketball player that even on DK, he only played, I want to say 29 minutes last night. Starting with my own limitations for today, I have no idea what's going on Yahoo, because simply on my phone, which was the only access I had no ability to get access to that and look at that. So any normal Yahoo analysis I might have had, it's going to be a little lacking. And I've only been back here at my desk with my notes and stuff for about an hour. So I'm a little behind the 8 ball, but I think we'll be fine with the extra time when we get to the end of the show. But I did want to specifically, full disclosure, mention that I'm I suppose a little bit 10% slow on everything, and plus I'm high as hell from Toradol and Dilaudid for the last day. But that has its compensations. But if you're going to put a minutes limit on Marquise Chris, I guess you could still consider that in GPPs at 3,000. I pulled him out of my rankings a second ago, but he's a really good point per minute guy. The matchup isn't great. I'd be disinclined from it. I think there are other 3,000 guys I still like more, so I doubt I would do it, but that still makes some sense, where if you get 20, 22 minutes of Marquise Chris, he can score 30 fantasy points. But between the now prescribed minutes limit and what's a difficult matchup to me, although easier for the bigs than the guards and the wings, I'd be disinclined towards it unless I had to do it. For the Cavs, there's a few guys who really have to carry some water here now with the situation, those other guys being limited, obviously. Kevin Love not playing, Tristan Thompson still not there. So, yeah, the first guy we'll start with will be Larry Nance, especially that DK price at 5,700. 66 on FanDuel is still a very good price. I like him quite a bit in this spot. He should start and play really significant amounts at center. By the way, there's a non-zero chance that Drew does something really stupid and goes back to starting like Ante Zizic. I don't think that's likely. I'd say it's like a 5% chance, but it's not a 0% chance that all of a sudden you get Larry Nance only playing backup center minutes. I don't think that's very likely, and I think he's a very strong play, but I would really like to see a Cavs lineup before lock, which is very likely. But yeah, he's obviously been good, even back to Laker days against the Pacers. Had a couple remarkable games against them earlier this year. Was excellent last night, and again, I was in a hospital bed last night answering questions, and one of the few things I went and was, yeah, Nance is starting, was like one of the few comments I made because I was pretty excited about that play, and that worked out really well. DK 5,700 makes a ton of sense. I'm sure he's still sitting around $20 on Yahoo, which is an amazing play, but will be one of 7 amazing center plays, so that doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. FanDuel is interesting where he lands in that mid 6K price tag, which at power forward on FanDuel is all kinds of chock full of delicious goodies. Power forward on FanDuel around that price range is, I'll just hit some of these. Aaron Gordon at 7,100. I don't mind that at all. Thad Young at 7,100. I like that a lot. Jaren Jackson Jr. at 6,900. I like that a lot. Pascal Siakam at 6,700 would be my favorite Raptor to play in a tournament. Probably like him less than a lot of these other guys. Larry Nance Jr. 66. I like that a lot. Bobby Portis 65. I like that a lot. Von Robb 64. I like that a lot. And then like below that you had Sabonis at 62, who I don't think is out of play at all if this game blows out. So That's a juicy price range where you have, Portis and Jaren Jackson and Larry Nance, and several other guys who are playable, and Thad Young, who has looked really good and finds himself in a pretty juicy spot as well. So you'll want to correlate your lineup. You'll want to decide that, this game stays close or blows out. You want to decide that the Raptors and Knicks game stays close or blows out. And make sure you even if you're building 150, that you don't have any purely illogical combinations there, because there are some guys who are going to be much better in games that stay close and some that blow out. But so speaking of the Cavs, Nance is going to be my favorite guy pretty significantly. After that, we'll still have no, Chetty Osman also. So there's lots of minutes at the 3, 4, 5 here. So one of the reasons I like Nance the most. If I have to go to a second guy, I probably still play Jordan Clarkson before I go after Colin Sexton. Yeah, that DK price is still really cheap, but especially, and I haven't had 1 second to look at ownership yet, guessing we still have some 18-20% Colin Sexton ownership, I really would have very little interest in this matchup. This is, I think, the 4th time these two teams have played this year, and I seem to recall Sexton, unsurprisingly, being pretty shit in all 3 of the previous games. There is an argument to be made, just blunt force fantasy points, like, the whole damn team is unhealthy. But, I would go with Clarkson for the ability to hit some sort of upside. So for 400 more on FanDuel and 500 more on DraftKings, after Larry Nance, my next guy would be Jordan Clarkson. But, I'm excited to play Nance. After that, you're just really firing bullets. So I'll land on that. The Pacers, obviously, much more exciting. Basically, everyone on this team playable somewhere or another. That's obviously a premium price to be playing for Darren Collison, but point assist double with some goodies is certainly not impossible. It's just about the best spot in the universe, and the ownership will be nominal to say the least. So that makes some sense for me. Bojan's still a very appealing small forward on FanDuel, especially. DK, you can do better. Tons of guys priced around that range with multi-positional eligibility. FanDuel, you got to play 2 small forwards. It's not that juicy of a spot. 5,800, which is also just a little too cheap. Sans Oladipo with everything else going on there. I think we know Wes Matthews is not going to debut. Can you confirm that for me? Or that is my last thing that I am trying to. It doesn't matter a ton, but it would make, Boji a little less exciting. Tyreek completely and totally out of play. Corey Joseph, who's really more expensive than you ever want to play on Corey Joseph. But, in this matchup, you can see him, putting out a big game for him. Would move to completely out of play for me. So it would restrict it really to the forwards at that point. But regardless of the Wesley Matthews status,
it looks like he has not yet signed, but all signs indicate that he will end up with the Pacers.
Right, but I think it's not tonight. I think seems to be
it doesn't look that way.
Right. So Miles Turner, especially DK, where he's like, Miles Turner is, I think, 79 FanDuel, 67 DK. That's still a really great price. I like having, some exposure to this game. Thad, Miles Turner, the first couple. And Domantas Sabonis makes a perfectly fine tournament play, especially if you randomly think this game blows out. So it correlates a little better with Marquise Chris, etc. But this is a really fine spot for the Pacers. So I like having Lance and Thad, or Lance and Miles Turner, and definitely pleased with the possibilities there. And this does point towards a really nice Lance game. I'm going to take a look at the ownership because I'm kind of curious where these guys are landing.
All right, we do. So it looks, and this is an unsourced tweet, but someone had said that Matthews has 27 minutes ago cleared waivers and would be free to sign now with whomever he chooses. To me, that feels like he's probably not ready to step on the court.
I mean, the process of signing a contract is not as simple as writing your name on the bottom of a credit card slip. So. Yeah, this seems to be about appropriate ownership. No surprise there. And so all these guys are relatively low owned compared to a lot of other guys we're talking about here. So, you have Larry Nance at 11%. That feels really exciting next to, 26% Bobby Portis. I like Bobby Portis a lot too, but I don't like him 2.5 times as much as I like Larry Nance.
If you were direct comparing Nance to Turner, which way would you land on DK?
Well, I think you're still saving pretty significantly on Nance, like $800 or $900. So, And Nance you get also at a forward position. So I imagine I would have significantly more Nance than Miles Turner. I like Miles Turner, but I imagine I would rather play Nance in a vacuum.
All right, let's move on to our next game here. We've got two 7:30 games. First one we'll talk about is going to be Charlotte at Atlanta. We have seen the resurgence of Kemba Walker, 3 outstanding games in the row. 2 of them did come with Cody Zeller back, which, as we have pointed out on many shows here, courtesy of Adam and others, that is one of the best attributes that Zeller has, is setting screens in the pick and roll and screening in general, which works wonders for Kemba Walker, along with this great matchup going against Atlanta, which has a top 5 pace over the last 30 days. The Atlanta side, everybody's healthy, Eddie, so I really don't like anybody because, hell, you mentioned 3 or 4 guys just in the first game that I prefer over any of the Atlanta guys. So this is kind of a one-sided affair. I'm okay with Kemba. 9,100 seems solid, kind of in that sweet spot where people are going to try to reach up and get George or Westbrook, or they're going to drop down. So I think he's intriguing there because I can see people dropping down to Conley or other guys like that. So I'm okay with Kemba. I'm okay with Zeller, and I'm actually okay with Marvin Williams. A little bit surprising. Yeah. He was one of our more popular plays when we did our first round of projections. Let me see what the update says, or the ownership projections. Yeah, he's at 26%, 7th highest on DK. So kind of seems like a price function. We want lots of center spots. We like guys that are eligible at forward or forward center, but he is coming in nicely on a lot of lineups. And I'd still prefer at least 3 guys from the Wizards game over him, but yeah, that would be the trio that I'm looking for from this game, and kind of, Trae Young if you want to. For Atlanta because his prices come down, but that's really it for me. What are you seeing in this one?
Yeah, very similar take to what you just spelled out. Kemba is still a little more than I want to pay for him. Can this be the 60 spot for him? Absolutely. Game can stay close. This is, basically best possible spot. So I'm fine with Kemba in tournament. I would rather play, for example, for a little less money, at least both sides, Bradley Beal. I would rather play a lot of guys to Kemba just because I don't think he quite point per minute projects as well. I believe in the Cody Zeller relevance. The matchup, again, the Hawks are just running all day. So I have no issue with Kemba. But, 10 on FanDuel, 91 on DK are both. There's just guys less than that I think carry similar upsides, and you can get more of them in there without having to shoehorn in a little more value. So one lineup, I don't think I end up with any Kemba. I'm fine if you do. There's absolutely no spot that's going to be any better for him. You can Jeremy Lamb in a tournament. I would probably slightly rather Nicholas Batum for a little bit less on both sides. Has just, time has been a little better. Usage has been a little better. Stuff can happen. Nothing to prioritize, but I would rather play him than Horder or some of the other guys across the ball and a number of the other mid-price guys. So 5K Batum makes some sense. Marvin Williams, you mentioned, that DK price I just saw at 4,600. Is a little bit too cheap for this spot. Probably gets 30 minutes, and I project him for about that many fantasy points. So just maths out right. Got you north of 32 of the previous games this year against Atlanta, if memory serves. So, that maths out perfectly well.
It was just announced that Zeller is starting over Biyombo this game.
4,200 Zeller. Now we're making some sense here. I'd probably project him for 25 minutes. 26.5 fantasy points or something. That's pretty solid. Tournament lineups I am disinclined towards because center only, upside limited. Now, less limited here than just about anywhere else. So if you're looking for, hey, I think maybe Cody Zeller can get 40 here, if he's going to do it, this is the spot where he's going to do it. I think I have both my player and my type in a couple things real quick and actually pull up. So he played all 3 of the November. That's right. These 2 teams played all 3 times in November of this year. He played 27, 28, and 23 minutes and had 12, 27, and 31 fantasy points. So I think he's a very good cash play now. I think those latter numbers are much more likely to be the relevant ones. And, I'd again project him for like 25 minutes, 27 fantasy points, somewhere around there. tournaments, I'm disinclined. I would probably rather look elsewhere. The one guy from this team, I kind of like Malik Monk actually a fair amount. And again, not someone I've liked a lot this year. There's been a number of chalky Malik Monk days, and I've been generally heading the other way. Tony Parker isn't there. That's enough now that I feel a little more likely you get 22, 23 minutes out of Malik Monk. The usage has been up. Matchup is obviously good. A little more upside minutes for if the game happens to blow out. There's enough things going well here that I like Malik Monk. FanDuel, I think, was 41 and 38 on DK. I like him both at both those numbers. Looking over at the Hawks, on FanDuel, the John Collins price is still a little too cheap. I don't get there in one lineup again because I listed 6 power forwards I love between 6K and 7K. So getting to 74 just from a raw point sense for a guy who I also love doesn't make quite as much sense because you have to assume that of those 6 guys I just went through, from Thad to Portis to Jaren, et cetera, some of them get to at least a similar number, but there's certainly a significant non-zero chance that John Collins throws up 52 here and is your best scoring power forward by 10. So if I'm building a lot of lineups, especially on FanDuel, I certainly have some John Collins. I probably have Taurean Prince as my favorite guy. I think he probably gets you 30 minutes again. Maybe he gets you a pile more. He had 36, 37 last game or what have you. But at 5K, that still makes plenty of sense for me. And again, FanDuel, where that position is extra sticky, that $5,100 tag there works for me. Beyond that, though, yeah, the minutes confusion is real. Bembry, Lynn, Bazemore, all those guys, chopping around, getting their 15, 18, 20 minutes. I don't really want a lot of that. So for me, Collins on FanDuel, but I guess Prince overall top play, then probably Trae Young, where I think is absolutely fine to go. Though I like him much more on DK than FanDuel, where you get 3-point bonus, turnovers aren't kicking you quite as hard. And you could Dwayne Dedman, where he's 5K on both sides. That can work out for you. But yeah, Prince, Young, Collins on FanDuel, Dedman probably order of priority for me.
All right, let's get on to another 7:30 game here. We have let's go to the Toronto and the Knicks. We've heard or learned that Marc Gasol, they're hoping he plays tonight. We know that, God love David Fizdale, his favorite, most well-rounded player, Vonleh got benched last night after 3 minutes. He's not starting today, Eddie.
3 minutes? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he's not starting today. Super Mario is.
Really?
Yes.
That's Mario pretty exciting for me. I had not a small amount of appeal for him in the past. And again, he got the bad chalk award of the day once this year, and that was a really nice spot. They've announced it already? Yeah, I'll still go with no then. Much as I'm tempted to. There's just other value I like more, and it's against a Kawhi in Raptors team, and yeah, I guess maybe this is the day Mario throws up 35 against a giant pile of elite defenders, but no thanks. He'll get chalky now, and I will. Marc Gasol available off the bench. Okay, that front court rotation is going to be really interesting to keep track of. So for tonight, I guess just don't play Ibaka, don't play Gasol, because I'll call him right now to split 24 and 24. Maybe Ibaka gets 27 because he gets some of the backup behind Pascal, but that makes it pretty dicey there. So you can obviously, I really have very little appeal for this team for a team playing the Knicks, which is really interesting. But now we have some significant minutes confusion. Obviously, a blowout. I don't know what the line is in this game, but it's got to be double digits.
It is 13.5.
Yeah, you go. So now we have to wonder how much time, Ibaka gets off the bench. So normally I'd like to play Ibaka against the Knicks, but now I really can't make that work because I don't think I get 30 minutes. Pascal, probably my favorite guy in tournaments. If I have to pick one of these guys, he's got the sweeter sort of paper matchup, if you will. Kawhi, fine to play, but the upside limited next to some of these other guys, even before you start talking about a reasonably likely blowout. Kyle Lowry, against the Knicks, good. Kawhi in, not so good. Danny Green, no more playable than he is any other day. Fred VanVleet prices up and now won't be starting, but would probably be on the court in a blowout, especially with no Delon Wright there. So especially FanDuel, you can Fred still. I'm fine. I know that makes you happy.
A little bit. a little bit. Not a ton, Eddie. Last night was a premium game there for Fred Van Vliet. Not having DeLon Wright helps somewhat. You're hoping for mop-up duty because when they had all those other guys, he wasn't getting the mop-up duty like he had been last year. So I think there are other plays I would go to.
So for the Knicks, the only things that could remotely be considered good plays on their face are probably – actually, I'll go with the third guy. So Dennis Smith Jr. and DeAndre Jordan make plenty of sense, especially if you look at the DeAndre Jordan DK price. In tournaments, I would probably rather run out Mitch Robinson, to be honest. Either FanDuel or DraftKings, I think he's just fine in tournaments. He's a really good point per minute guy. He has massive block ceiling. We like the fact that they might get their ass totally kicked in this game, and there's not a ton to love here. So playing like just Mitch Robinson from this game, actually, I think would feel pretty good for me. 5,500. No, I keep getting halfway done with the rankings and then getting interrupted. So after this, I will let Emac sell something for 90 seconds and finish those up.
Perfect. We have a good one, Eddie. We have a good one.
No doubt. DeAndre Jordan, 5,500 is too cheap. If the game stays close, he plays 30 minutes. And I don't mind the matchups that much with either. But I mean, I'd have him at, if the game stays close, 30 minutes, 32 fantasy points, which at 5,500 is fine. FanDuel would rather look elsewhere. Vonleh to the bench, which, again, not long ago, many people called him the best player on this team. So naturally, bench. But yeah, Dennis Smith should play regardless of score, 36, 38, 40 minutes. 5,900 still too cheap. Has looked very decent against Lowry in the past, at least the one game I can think of when he was with Dallas. So yeah, not a lot to love in this game for me. You want to play DeAndre Jordan, especially cash on DK. I'm totally fine with that. Dennis Smith, you can play anywhere because just the usage and the time should really be there, and he's still just too cheap on both sides, to be honest. Alonzo Trier got 30 last night. You want to play Alonzo Trier or Damian Dotson, FanDuel only? I think those make plenty of sense. DK, the risk doesn't seem to be worth it for me. FanDuel, where you can drop them, sure, go ahead, put your spoon out there. And then, yeah, Mitch Robinson, I legit like when there's a likely blowout and still low to mid fours. I can still see that working out.
All right. You work on the rankings. I'm going to tell everybody how they have an opportunity to win a full year of Osmo premium content. We are celebrating our 1-year anniversary. That's going to be February 15th. This contest that we are doing runs from yesterday through the 13th. All you got to do is comment on any of our YouTube shows in the comment section, not the chat, the comment section, which will appear after the show has ended. Make a comment and hit a like, and you will be entered into the random drawing. You can also look to our Twitter page, Osmo_COM, and there is a pinned tweet that gives you another opportunity to gain entry. Now, if I was going to be crazy, I would try to enter as many comments as I can on any of the shows that we have. And we have about 5 or 6 shows a day. So you've got a lot of opportunities here, and you want to be ahead of everyone else. But you get 1 full year of all Osmo premium content. That includes the lineup builder, projections for multiple sports, the ownership projections for multiple sports. And for you basketball gamers, and your basketball gamers, if you're watching this show, we've got the All-Star break coming up. The All-Star break is going to give us 6 days of no full slate basketball. Yes, there's the All-Star game. Yes, there's the Rising Stars game, but that's it. So we got to scratch that itch, and we'll be heading on over to the NHL. I've dipped my toe in the water already and have been blown away by how easy it is utilizing the projections and the grades. Projections from Jay Kari, the Osmo grades and rankings. He ranks all the players, including goalies, and then he ranks all the line combinations down to first, second, third line, and power play lines. So this is definitely something you want to take a gander at, because there's going to be a bunch of people jumping in these contests that are not experienced at hockey. That is the one thing we see every year, and it's a tricky sport if you're not used to it, because it's very easy to make mistakes and not understand how the correlation really should work. All right, Eddie, let's move on here to our next game. We've got me scrambling to figure out which tab it's on. There we go. So let's talk Clippers and Boston. I think, and I'm just trying to confirm it, but I think so Zubac is available. We've got let me see here. Why is that not showing up? We know that he seems to be the only one of their massive number of players that looks like they're in. So JaMychal Green is not on the injury report for Saturday. He's been out with a knee injury. We'll have to see what happens with him. Garrett Temple also no longer on the injury report. He's been dealing with a sore shoulder. We have Landry Shamet, who is also available. He came over in part of the Philly deal. And then we've got a potential, this is what I was trying to confirm, a potential Zubac starting at center. So let me run that one.
I guess at the start of the day, and I left him ranked, and those ranks should be considered to be upgraded in the event that we find out that he's starting. Now, I don't think it's a significant role. If we find out he's starting, I'd still have him for like 19 minutes, which is fine. At 3,500, I think is the DK tag. That still makes plenty of sense in tournaments. But all things, matchup considered, I would probably rather play Daniel Tice across the ball. There's other guys I would look at, but I would have some exposure in any sort of large field thing we do.
All right. Up and down the lineup, the rest of the guys there, the only ones I'm kind of intrigued by, and my interest has fallen throughout the day, but Lou Williams, who had it coming off a crappy game, but he's still Lou Williams. I'm okay with Montrezl Harrell, and then I'm okay with Pat Beverly, but not really an exciting spot going against Boston. From the Boston side, the only guy I'm really interested in is Al Horford, but there are so many centers, and fortunately he is also power forward eligible on DraftKings, so you can work him in. But I'm not really a fan of anybody outside of him. Kyrie is definitely a tournament option. We know he has that 50, 60 fantasy point upside, but you're really going to need him to get there, and there are some guys a couple $1,000s less that have similar point per dollar or even better point per dollar numbers. So this one, not really doing it for me, even though there's nearly a 230 over under. What do you like from the Clippers or the Celtics?
Not much. I'm going to take 18 more seconds and get this done.
Okay.
But not a ton. So run something else, and then I will power through the rest of this. I want to get this done. Sorry for being behind today, but I assure you I had a excellent excuse.
No. We're very happy that you were able to make it here.
Happy to be here. I sucked missing a show. I really wanted to do that show yesterday. I really like Whiteside. I really feel bad that I missed yesterday's show. But hopefully people still did okay, and I'm sure Josh and Chris and other guys did an outstanding job. But day after the trade deadline, to be able to have to miss a show made me feel pretty goddamn shitty. I gotta be honest. But,
yeah, we had a nice one, a nice little fun sweat in chat last night. TCMB pulled down 10K. So
very nice. Very nice. I saw that. I think I threw a retweet at that some. So yeah, we've had I don't know, 8 of the last 11 days someone winning 5 digits at least. So it's been a nice streak there. Okay, they are saved, grabbing and uploading, and then we can get this done properly.
All right, I'm just gonna hit off a couple ownership while we're
load that sucker up while I'm doing
waiting here. We have Chris Middleton. This is DraftKings at 31%. Zach is at 30%. Lauri Markkanen 27%. Eric Bledsoe 27%. James Harden 26%. Now Harden's jumped up 6%. Partly that's a function of Giannis not being there anymore. Or in the player pool with him sitting out. So we won't have to worry about that. Otto Porter, I think, is a little high at 23%. DeLon Wright at 3,200. We think is going to take the Shelvin Mack minutes. He is at 20%. So that's kind of a discount dandy. And then one guy that Adam and I were talking about earlier was Iman Shumpert. He's still sitting at 1%. A lot of guys for him to guard there with Westbrook and Paul George. PJ Tucker's going to need some help. So we do have that. Kawhi is confirmed in as well. Eddie.
Nice. Boom. Open. Upload. Done. Okay, those should be in. And if anyone has any questions, and I normally think about 19 days out of 20, they're perfect as far as having the correct players in there. But in the event you see something that makes no sense to you, please ask a question about it, because just given what's been going on for me, that's, I think, a greater chance than normal that I have somehow gotten something twisted. All right, where are we? We're doing Lakers and
Clippers and Boston.
Yeah, do not like a ton out of this game. So the brief overhead would just be Clippers, lots of other people coming in and dealing with a pretty negative matchup with Boston. Boston, I do like Horford, and I do like Kyrie. Those are, I think, the two guys you intelligently look at. Both priced a little bit better on DK, but an absolutely fine matchup, especially for both of those guys. And again, a team that is tending to give up a greater than normal percentage of its production to the point guards and the centers. And then with how well these two guys have been playing, them being the more secure minutes guys. In general, Horford only got like 25, 26 last game. That was a little surprising, but still really involved and just accrues stats in basically every statistical category you can. So especially DK, where the prices are a little more palatable, I'm fine with Irving and Horford. Still just tournament plays for me, but strong tournament plays. I like having one of those guys. Beyond that, if you're building 150 lineups and you end up with some 6K Jason Tatum, that's obviously fine. He can get on top of that number in a good matchup. Really good matchup now. I mean, this is a Clippers team that should be really susceptible to like forward production. So he would be my next guy. And then after that, Daniel Tice, you're still, dealing with no Aaron Baines, and Bob Williams is out again. So Tice still makes sense for me in tournaments. That's really all I want to do on that team. And yeah, looking across the ball, that's just going to be a mess. They're adding, as you mentioned, Landry Shamet and Garrett Temple. It's just going to be a bit. So, tournament, Ivica Zubac, sure. Gallinari at 5,900, that's fine. I mean, he can just blunt force his way to an exceptional game. His usage should be completely off the hook for a little while here. But, against the Celtics, I don't want to play Garrett Temple. I don't want to play priced up Patrick Beverley with a dicier minutes load. You can play Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on DK where that price is a little more tolerable. You can always play Lou Williams in a tournament. It's Lou Williams. His ownership will be nothing in a terrible matchup, coming off a shit game where he played less than we expected and did less than we expected when he was out there. But yeah, generally there are a lot of great games tonight and lots of great mid-price plays, and these two teams outside of, Horford and Kyrie are generally less appealing mid-price plays. So you can go here. Certainly would not make it a priority and would have limited exposure.
All right, let's get on to one of the tastier matchups here. Well, a difficult one. We're going to New Orleans. We're going to Memphis. Memphis favored by 3. We don't have word yet for Anthony Davis.
He's not going to play.
I don't think he's going to play. It's not confirmed out. He's also not listed on their injury report, but that doesn't mean they can't say he's resting and just take the $100,000 fine, which I think is not a bad price to pay with him on back-to-backs.
I don't think that he should be fun for sitting a back-to-back. Like, he's a guy who's had a number of injuries this year. Like, lots of guys rest. Like, they can't rest him at all without a fine. They have 24 games left or whatever. He must play them all or they get fined. That seems unreasonable because most of the players on that team won't play all those games, even the healthy ones. Like, I bet Drew rests a game. Does he get fined? I bet Julius Randle rests a game.
And what are we doing with Kawhi Leonard? Come on.
So I'll be interested to see how that. If he doesn't play today and they fine, I'll seem even slightly more unfair than we discussed. So the big news for me here is Valanciunas not debuting. Would have had a lot of appeal for Valanciunas, especially FanDuel. I think he would have started. I think he would have played 24 minutes, which projected him for some number starting with a 3, which would have felt pretty good. With him out, though, it solidifies a lot of this other value here, specifically in the front court. Like Kevon Jackson Jr. In an exceptional matchup, really, for both of them. Rob a little bit more on DK, Jaren Jackson Jr. A little bit more on FanDuel, where it's just 500 more over Rob in the same position. I would probably rather go there, but yeah, I really like those guys, and this matchup is pretty great. So again, that whole power forward center thing is stacked with guys who cost 6 or 7K that I really like. But this certainly is a couple of them. The continual absence of Valanciunas means Caboclo is still in play as a tournament play. Probably actually like him a little better on FanDuel, even at the proportionately higher price, just because he can certainly pick up, those defensive stats. Delon Wright made a lot of sense that you were saying he would come in. I do think he picks up the backup point minutes. So 3,200, the upside is definitely there. So I like the Delon Wright call. I think that's very good. Mike Conley, this is a great matchup for him. And, the DK price is still very tolerable. So no issue with that. So Chandler Parsons isn't back yet, but they announced that they're, really going in there. I don't think we need to Yuta Watanabe. But but it is a really good spot for the Grizzlies, and generally still a fairly poor spot for the Pelicans. Don't get me wrong, getting Marcus there makes things a lot better, but the team's still so. Based on what we know right now, I guess Julius Randle would be my favorite guy, but he's not cheap. He's over 8 everywhere. I think he plays, if Canada doesn't play, he can 32 minutes, 34 minutes, and he can absolutely grab you 50 here. But again, there's about 6 power forwards that cost between 6,000 and 7,000, I think, can get me 50. So not someone I'm prioritizing. Each one more is back, or probable, I think, which complicates the minutes for Kenrich Williams and Darius Miller. And Stanley Johnson is now there, who further sort of muddies those minutes. Frank Jackson is still there. He's going to start, but he's down to playing whatever, 18, 20 minutes. Tim Frazier is having the big games off the bench, especially with his, GPP upside and being such a better assist guy. I would probably rather go to Tim Frazier, but I'm dubious on this team. 8,600 for Drew Holiday. Sure, that's a number you can get on top of, but the matchup with Memphis is still a fairly negative one. Yeah, that's everyone there. We'll get back to it in questions. I want to speed up a little if we can. But
all right, one we have right off the bat here. If with Anthony Davis unlikely to play, are you interested in Ivan Robb at all?
Yes, I'm not sure what one terribly has to do with the other, but with Jonas Valanciunas not available to play. And I'm glad Anthony Davis isn't there. Like, it certainly would make shit harder. Like, it's much for me. I'm much happier with Anthony Davis being out for Jaren Jackson Jr. Because on Rob, while he does have some foul trouble, like now I think there's some decent chance that Jaren Jackson Jr. doesn't foul his ass out in 6 minutes. Like,
yeah, his last 3 games, 5 games, he's had 5, 5, 4, 6, and 6. So
yeah, we had one day earlier this year where I out of nowhere pulled JaMychal Green tournament-winning play out of my ass, and it was, I bet Jaren Jackson Jr. gets in foul trouble in 9 seconds here, and JaMychal Green has a big game, and that happened. JaMychal Green at 40 or 45 or whatever. So, yes, if Anthony Davis is in, I would go from probably having like 25% exposure to Jaren Jackson Jr. to literally 0. There's so many other good power forwards in his range. Like, I like him now at his relative ownership. You put Anthony Davis in there, and all of a sudden he's got a 50% chance of having limited minutes due to foul trouble. That would drop him from fighting for my best ranked guy in that range to falling behind Nance and Portis and just 11 other guys. So, yes, definitely. I guess that's worth pointing out specifically. You find out Anthony Davis is playing, I would be much less interested in Jaren Jackson Jr. Marquise Chris starting.
With a minutes restriction.
Starting next to him, dare I ask? The fuck? Cavs will start. Yes, Chris is at the 4. Sexton, Adele, Nwaba, Chris, Nance Jr. So, by the way, keep in mind that we've been specifically told that 2 of those players who are starting will have minutes limits. So
does Chris get the 6 minutes that Kevin Love had last night?
That's such a dick move. How do you not say, yeah, tonight we're just going to give him like a quarter? You don't even have to say 6 minutes, but something to indicate he's going to be incredibly limited. Like, how do you not say that?
And I get him starting, coming in. He's gone through warm-ups and everything. It's the best time to go.
But yeah, Avery Bradley is in, and Tyler Dorsey is in for the Grizzlies, so that makes them, thoroughly, really dubious for me in the backcourt now.
Yeah, I forgot that Avery Bradley was there.
Yeah.
It's an easy one to overlook. All right, chat, hit the like button because you're really going to like what you have to hear with the next game. We have the Washington Wizards going to Chicago. Both teams on back-to-backs here. Hey, if you guys are going to be familiar with each other, we've got Portis and Jabari Parker going to Chicago. Portis is unhappy. 72 hours ago, he thought he was going to be a Bull for a long time. He now is not. You've got Otto Porter on the other side. You've got Lauri Markkanen, criminally underpriced. Zach LaVine, outstandingly priced. Chris Dunn in a great spot. What are we going to do with Rolo? Is he going to get, in 20 minutes, just hammer the Wizards with a double-double? I don't know that we need him, but this could be a spirited game. And the over-under on Lofty tweets about Portis taking swings at the opponents and getting ejected is set at 1.5.
Anthony Davis is in.
Anthony Davis is in.
That's what someone tweeted me. and someone messaged me. So I find it unlikely that two people sent me the simultaneous false information.
He's
so
in.
Anthony Davis will play. Okay. You now want almost like it is bad for everyone. Anthony Davis himself is not playable because I think he plays 25 minutes again. There's no way that on the back end of a back-to-back, they're like, yeah, because Gentry came out and said it was conditioning, which, okay. I'm not sure I buy that, but that's what he said. So I really doubt the minutes get much more than that. And unless his price dropped precipitously, and I'll admit I didn't look, 10.5 on DK. Seriously doubt FanDuel dropped him 3,000 in a day. So, and now everyone else is, that whole game just got really shitty in a hurry. So, yeah.
I'm not as happy with
some of those power forward options. So,
yeah, I'm not as happy with Randall now, especially at that 8,100 price tag.
No, I'm not happy at all with Randall now. Yeah. No, sir.
All right. Well, let's finish up this one. We maybe have more information trickling out about minutes or anything like that as we get through. We've got 3 games to go. So Washington and Chicago. Eddie, let's start off. Bobby Portis, I think, just let him run unlimited into your lineups. This is a great matchup. Just know, remember, he's the guy that broke the jaw of his teammate in a practice scuffle. That would be Nikola Mirotic. So bit of a temper, but I think he's going to want to put this one up on the scoreboard. So I really like him. I'm okay with Jabari Parker. If you're looking at Jabari Parker, FanDuel, most owned player, he's like about 35% because of his price. DraftKings, he's 4,800. Do you go with Parker? Do you potentially look towards Zeller at a similar price tag there? I know they're at different positions, but they're kind of what I think similar minutes. I'm still leaning towards Parker just because I think he can get there in more ways. But with Zeller starting, if he creeps up to mid-20s for minutes, that would be nice as well.
Yeah, I still the game environment is juicy in both those. Both those contests are. I mean, when your best defensive team is Charlotte, you're really saying something there. I'm rejiggering some minutes configurations for just a minute here to come down with what I like, but that's juicy. So this game is appropriately being treated as a pretty incredible points environment. Obviously, guys' prices change just a little bit everywhere. But, Bobby Portis, especially DK, Jabari Parker, especially FanDuel, both guys very much in play on the other site. Both guys trending towards guys I would have really near universal ownership to on the other sites. Can they fail? Absolutely. Bobby Portis can fail, and Jabari Parker will fail on the defensive end of the court, but can also be sort of absent on the offensive end. But obviously massive over-under spot. I like Brad Beal as sort of the underpriced, piece of this game. Again, I would rather play him than Kemba for $500 and $100 less. I don't mind Sato on DK. I slightly prefer Ariza to Jeff Green in this spot where they're priced similarly. I do think in general I would want to have slightly larger pieces of the less chalky guys. I do think you want to move away from the chalk more so than normal here. When you look at the Bulls, I worry a little bit more about the minutes. Again, we don't have a ton of back-to-back sample here. A fun story today where someone was talking about it, a different tool site. I won't specify it on Twitter today, but sent a tweet in which I somehow got looped in that said, like, I really love the back-to-back tools that are on this other DFS site. Really gives me useful information. Did you know that, the Bulls are scoring 7 points less a game on the back end of back-to-backs? And I responded with, like, did you know that on the back end of back-to-backs, the last 3 teams they played were the Jazz, the Raptors, and the Celtics? Just, I bring that up as it's a really good cautionary tale for small sample size data and
context. We need context.
It's right, exactly. So it's like head-to-head data. Head-to-head data can be amazingly valuable, and that's like 20% of the time, and 50% of the time it's irrelevant or so noisy that there's nothing there, and then like 30% of the time it's downright misrepresentative. So same sort of thing when you look at the 7 back-to-backs a team has had this year, or 8 or so I think the Bulls have had. So that being said, it is a back-to-back, and played a lot of minutes last night. I think Markkanen and Levine both played 37, 38 minutes, if memory serves. That Levine price on DK is notably too cheap. It's just a fine spot. Those guys been too cheap on Yahoo for a while here. FanDuel, again, I'd probably still rather play Levine simply because of the positional scarcity. Again, it'd be closer now because the Memphis guys just got considerably worse for me. Chris Dunn's still a little more expensive than I don't want him. So, I mean, he would come after. It's going to be site dependent, but on DK at least, he'd be after Levine, after Porter, after Markkanen. Rolo's still sort of a cash punt starting. But, you want to have, big pieces of those guys from this game. So, again, I'll use DK specifically. For tournaments, it's probably Levine, Porter, Markkanen, Dunn would be the order for me. I really like those guys. And then for the Wizards, it's probably on DK. I'll stick with Portis, Beal, Ariza, Satoransky, Green, I think, in that order. I don't think I think you still stay away from Tom Bryant. No reason to expect him to get the time. I don't think I'm going to go there. And no Jordan McRae. Get that out.
And did you mention Parker with the Wizards there?
I didn't because I was doing the DK pricing and in my head I had incorrectly allocated him as sort of like a FanDuel only play, which obviously isn't the case. He's 40. He's
48.
He's 48, right? I remember the number was obviously much less hospitable. I'd probably have him third then at that number. I still like him, and I don't think he's his own still quite as he should be in that spot. It is a really great spot. So, but yeah, I'm thinking, you're going to want your lineup to have hopefully a couple guys from this game.
All right. Oh, goodness. Let's hit our last two and do questions. We got 20 minutes left, Eddie, cool. And we want to get some robust questions in here. We are going on to OKC and Houston. This one is a little bit tricky because of where players are priced. You're looking at James Harden at, 12-2 on DraftKings, which you can kind of make work.
Horrible.
Squint and work in players like DeLon Wright and Iman Shumpert and a few of those guys. On FanDuel, he's over 13. I don't see how you're gonna do that comfortably with so many other good spots here. Do I love him? Was he the first pick in drafts today? Absolutely. But outside of that, when you got a salary assigned to it and Chris Paul playing, don't want to go there. I don't really want to go to Chris Paul at 7,000. And on DK, I don't know that he can get there. Iman Shumpert, I'm okay with. I'm okay with PJ Tucker, just as some differentiation plays in there. Maybe Jabari Parker has a bad game. Maybe Cody Zeller has a bad game. Those are guys similar price tier. And if you've got them and you can make a different lineup, turn a chalky lineup into a 2v2 off of one of those guys and work out well for you. Fareed is all right. I don't see him getting over 40 fantasy points. That's a little bit of a problem at 6,900. On the other side, Westbrook, 7 triple doubles in a row? Sure, this is a nice spot. I'd take if I was going to play somebody, I'd probably dip down to Paul George at a less than stellar small forward spot at 10,000, even there. And then I'm okay with Steven Adams in this matchup. But really, Adams is about the only guy I'm getting over 10% of. Now, some of these guys are coming into my crunches, so that's fine. But it's hard to get there when you've got that whole Chicago game. You've got the Milwaukee game that we're going to talk about in a minute. This is just a tough one. Be a great, fun one to watch.
Yeah.
But a tough one with where the pricing is for everybody.
Yeah, again, we haven't even gotten to the Bucks yet, where I'm a big fan of Bledsoe and Middleton, especially on DraftKings. So, yeah, it is really difficult to get any significant amount of this game if you are building a pile of lineups, just because the math doesn't just doesn't work out that ideally. I have Russ Westbrook for 6 or 7 points more than Paul George. So FanDuel, I'm fairly ambivalent on it. DK, yeah, I do think Paul George is just a better play there. James Harden with all hands on deck, certainly not out of play, even anywhere for me on FanDuel, because there's just I am not shocked if James Harden gets 90 tonight. Like, that can really happen, and he's the most likely player to be the biggest player on the slate. And I imagine we have him projected, due to all the better options, at 7%. And it's never going to be wrong to have 7-10% James Harden. So no, obviously he makes it a giant pain in the ass, and we're 18 minutes from lock, and not enough value has really opened up. But even at whatever it is, 13.6, I think it is on FanDuel, I actually don't consider that price out of play. James Harden is an elite tournament play on DK, where he'll be down around 20%, and there's a real upside. If I'm building a lineup, no, I don't think I have him in it because I believe in the other guys. And as I've said repeatedly, whenever you play James Harden, you're also, more so than any other player in the game, making a stand against other players. And I really like these 6K and 7K guys. I like Middleton. I like Bledsoe. I like the ability to get a upside game out of Kyrie. I like Bobby Portis. I like Larry Nance. I like Steven Adams. I like all those guys to be able to, unsurprisingly, give me 40 and maybe throw up a 50 burger. So 12-2 for Harden doesn't feel like the best plan A because probably he gives me 60-something. Maybe gives me 70-something. But you're really smiling if you get him at 20% on DK, 5% on FanDuel, and he gives you 88. That may get you there. So not out of play, not in first lineup for me.
We've got a question here from the premium chat. Achilles, would you consider Adams a cash play, Steven Adams a cash play on DraftKings at 6,100?
Yeah, I think he's the cash center in the lineup I was tinkering with before.
Okay. There you go. All right, let's
before any slide. He's not the only one, and actually I had a few $100 left over, and he just became that over Yvonne Robb.
Okay.
Because Anthony Davis was back, and that was enough for me to make that swap. So yeah, it's a really good spot for Steven Adams. I have him projected for 37. That feels just fine. A little bit more cashy than tournamenty. So yeah, I think he's an excellent cash ender. Now, there are many excellent cash enders. You can play Miles Turner, you can play Bobby Portis, you can play Thad Young, you can play Larry Nance. There's lots of good cash centers. But I like throwing a center in there and playing some of those other amazing plays at forward.
All right. Sorry, I just got a message from a friend I hadn't heard from in a long time back home in Seattle. Our last game of the night, here's some of the ownerships. We just got it out 4 minutes ago. There, DK, Chris Middleton, 35, Bledsoe, 29, Ersan Ilyasova, Eddie, 28. What are your thoughts there on some Ursanity tonight without Giannis?
And without Mirotic, which would have been the really complicating factor. If he had debuted tonight. Yeah, so Ersan also 3,200, right? Am I correct?
Yes,
price?
Sorry.
That's fine, you were consuming. I'm fine with it. I think it is less likely with the current structure of this team, the oncoming of DJ Wilson. Their ability to run small in other ways that he gets like 26, 28 minutes. I think it's more likely. I do think he starts. I do think you get 22, 23 minutes. I think he's just fine. If he's 20%, I wouldn't want it. If he's 10, I think I would. Like it's 20% is a bit high. But yeah, that's the place we go. This is I believe the fourth game that Giannis has not played this year. He missed the early one against the Raptors where Kawhi also didn't play. I remember really being annoyed by that. It was in like late October. And then he sat out 2 other games, both of which were cake games. One was the Cavs, one was someone else. Yeah, I think on DK in my first lineup, in both cash and tournaments, I would have Middleton and Bledsoe. I think I want both. FanDuel, I'm probably playing Middleton and not Bledsoe at that point because of the price change. But DK, they're both really significantly too cheap, and I would at least get on top of 30% for either of them. I would have closer to 50% on both of them.
Okay.
I just project them too well, and the DK prices were already a little bit too low. I have Bledsoe about 2.5 points higher than Middleton at like 39.5 and 37. But they can both demolish those numbers. And at 68 and 61, I think are the numbers. Really hard to imagine they fail. 61 is just really cheap for Middleton without Giannis. And Bledsoe's been fucking good for a few weeks now. So I really, really like those plays significantly more than anyone else on this team. Then, yeah, I think it's probably Ersan for me before Brogdon by a little bit. And, yeah, a little more interest in DJ Wilson because of how I expect him to run out the minutes there. You can certainly play Brolo, little extra appeal for him. Not an incredibly good matchup and more inclined towards, Bledsoe and Middleton than those other guys pretty significantly. But, yeah, no, that's I'm a big fan of the Bucks. I've watched a lot of Bucks basketball. Third time this year going up against the Magic, I'm almost certain. But yeah, we have a reasonable sample size between last year and this one of what happens when Giannis is out. And most of the time it works out really well. I remember we had one really shitty Middleton game this year when Giannis was out against the Cavs, and I think Middleton shot like 5 for 18 in that game, and you ended up with him only having like 29 or 30 fantasy points or some, pretty disappointing outcome. But there is a real ginormous ceiling for those two guys and a pretty safe floor. So I would be over those 30% numbers, even with all the other plays I really like. You can build just a bitch and balanced lineup tonight with all these guys who cost 5x, 6x. Like on the top of my head, you're like Bledsoe, Middleton, Porter, Nance, Rob, if you're still going there, Jaren Jackson, Portis, like this really just a ton of guys with 45, 50 point upside that cost 6K, give or take $800 either way. So, and that's one of the many reasons why James Harden is really tough to make work, even at like 12 too, because like you need a number out of your guy. Like you need a number. I didn't even say Thad or Miles Turner, or there's just a lot of guys in that mid price range.
All right, last side here. Vucevic, love him in this spot. It's helpful that Giannis is out, could keep that score maybe a little bit closer. Vooch projecting almost at 50 fantasy points. I think this is a good spot here. I don't see a ton of people going to him. He's just under 20% owned on DK. Of course, everything's going to be spread out on FanDuel because you can only play one center. But anything else from the Magic? Perhaps a Terrence Ross flyer?
Not really. Not what has seemed to be a great matchup for them. I don't. I guess I'm saying I'm not prioritizing anyone. You can in tournaments obviously play Aaron Gordon. You can play Terrence Ross. You can play Never Google, but you can always play Jonathan Isaac in tournaments. Although his prices come up to the point where he had a couple of those ceiling games where he got all the steals and blocks that allows him to get 40 plus fantasy points. Now he's just not priced enough where it's worth the risk. When he was like $4,300, I was a pretty big fan of Jonathan Isaac just about every day. Now it's a little tough to get there. So Vooch, you have correctly, 88 on DK is a very strong cash play. And there is obviously a tournament upside here for him, although he ends up profiling a lot like Kawhi in that you just get like 40 to 55 every game. Like there's just no chance of getting 70. Like it has happened for both those guys, but so much less frequent than a lot of other guys who are less consistent, which in this context is a good thing when you want the ability to spike a truly nasty number on someone. So I like Vooch, cash and tournaments, love him in cash. But yeah, other than that, I'm excited about this game, but mostly for the Bucks side of the ball.
All right, chat, go ahead and fire in some questions here. I'm doing my.
Yeah, I'm sure I missed some stuff. Let me get some QQs again. I've been driving and plugged in and all sorts of nasty stuff today. So come at me.
All right, let me get this in a different window because I'm doing my final crunch here, but that's okay because there's only one early game, so I'll have time with the late Swaptimizer over there on Fantasy Cruncher to come fix things. Go ahead and at me in the premium chat for these, and I will answer them, or I will get them off to Eddie. Any thoughts on DJ Wilson over on DraftKings?
Yeah, he's 38. I know he's more than Ilyas. I'll just look it up. I know he's more than Ilyasova was. My shit is apparently going to lag pretty significantly right now, so give me a second. DJ Wilson, 35. Yeah, I like that quite a bit. I do think he picks up extra minutes here. I think he plays more minutes than Ersan, and I think he's lower owned than Ersan. So sorry if I didn't specifically state that before. Presuming the $300 is not changing a lot for you, I like DJ Wilson. My two favorite, 3X tournament guys, I think right now are Malik Monk and DJ Wilson on DK.
Do you still like Conley with the Davis news?
Yes, I actually like him a little more. I still think this game stays fairly close, and having Anthony Davis and Julius Randle around just means there's a very real chance that he can. So I actually like him a little more because your chance of a 60-point Conley game went up. So, yeah, I like Conley actually a little bit more with Anthony Davis in there.
All right. Let me see here. Straight up on DK, Nance or Brogdon?
I'll take Larry Nance. I think he's lower owned, and I think he has a higher ceiling. Got a lower floor, I'll give you that. But in tournaments, that'd be Nance for me pretty significantly. I like Nance a lot here. With Love back out again and other guys on minutes limits, I'm really not surprised to get 50 out of Nance here. I'd project him for, I think, just a hair under 40, but that obviously still feels pretty good for 5,700. So I like Nance a lot. Maybe I'm overestimating it, but I like him a lot.
All right, this is for Sir Legend. Levine and Monk or Middleton and Zeller. He already has Bledsoe on DK.
I'd probably play Levine and Monk then.
All right. Let's see. DJ Wilson or Marquise Chris on FanDuel tournaments.
I'd play DJ Wilson. I have him projected for about the same minutes, and I do think, I don't know if we've updated ownership, but I bet Marquise Chris at minimum price starting gets pretty significant ownership, and that's absolutely fine. He is a decent fantasy guy, but he's also inconsistent to say the least.
Yeah, it looks like we have him at 2% right now, but there could be one more update coming in for that one. Thoughts on Zubac for FanDuel tournaments?
I mean, I would have him behind all these other guys we're talking about, mostly just because of the matchup. But I would rather play Wilson. I would rather play Chris. I would rather play Ilyasova. So, did he say FanDuel tournaments?
Yep.
Oh, I don't even know what he has cost.
Chris is 4% on FanDuel and 7% on DK with the latest update.
Sounds good. I got to see what the price is on. Who are we talking about on FanDuel?
I don't know. Eddie Zubac, FanDuel.
Yeah, if I'm fine. Like my cheap sort of tournamenty guy I like is Mitch Robinson, I think, tonight. But I don't have an issue with $3,900 Ivica. That makes plenty of sense to me.
All right. CP3 or Turner cash utility on Yahoo.
Cash? I'll take Miles Turner. It's very close. I'll take Miles Turner there.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest stands of the night, guys I think I would be well over the field. I'd probably have triple the field of Mitch Robinson, which, would be 10% or whatever. Larry Nance, I think I'd end up being well over. I have a feeling just due to positionality. I mean, for me, it's much more of a FanDuel play, but Taurean Prince, I think I'd be well in there. Malik Monk, I've obviously mentioned a couple times. Middleton and Bledsoe. Like I do think if they are around 30% on, that is too little for them. They can really both get there. Yeah, I guess that's about it at the moment, guys, that I'm really a fan of. DJ Wilson.
Single entry cash on fantasy draft. Harden and Ersan or Westbrook and Hazonia?
Harden and Ersan.
All right.
I straight up have Ersan projected for more than Hazonia, so the only way I could get the other way would be something would have to go pretty weird.
All right. DSJ and Conley or Brogdon and Vooch, DK cash?
Cash? I'll take Brogdon and Vooch.
All right. Let's go over here to the YouTube chat. We've got Sexton or Kenrich?
In cash, I would play Sexton.
Holiday or Conley, DK cash?
I would play Holiday in cash. It's a little bit safer.
Would you do Frazier on DK in tournaments if he starts?
I would rather he didn't start if I was going to play him in tournaments, I think. But either way, I think he's fine to play. I think he's 41 or whatever. I think he's absolutely fine to play in tournaments, yeah. And the matchup isn't great. I'm not trying to target a lot of that game. But, you're as a guy, Tim Frazier doesn't get half his fantasy points from assists. Having Anthony Davis out there makes that more likely. So
okay.
You're a fan of that.
Okay, definitely fair. DK cash, Trae Young, or Chris Dunn?
Chris Dunn.
All right, I'm going to ignore you for a moment because I got to get my lineups in here and upload them. My apologies.
I will go look at questions for a minute. Then go ahead. Let's see. Portis or Nance was a question. I would rather play Nance in my first tournament lineup. I would probably play them both about 90% of the time. But Nance, obviously, the ownership is, a third or whatever the hell of Portis, and I really like both of them, so I'll take the guy at a third of the ownership. DK Cash, DSJ and DJ, or Conley and Ilyasova. For cash, it doesn't seem like the math should work there. Dennis Smith Jr. and DJ are like a 5,900 and a 3,500, and Conley and Ilyasova are an 8,200 and a 3,200. It's like 2,000 more on the second one. So restate question, please, Triple X Achilles, because I assume I am missing. Oh, DSJ DJ is DeAndre Jordan. That's what it is, not DJ Wilson. Okay, so Dennis Smith Jr. and DeAndre Jordan, or Conley and Ilyasova for cash. For cash, I'll go with the first two there. Conley is makes me a little nervous in cash. I can see a number of ways this game doesn't go his way. I do think he has a big ceiling, but Anthony Davidson is another thing that lowers his floor a little bit, and I worry about minutes and a couple other things. So, Beal or Vooch, DK, GPP. If you already have 4 from the Washington-Chicago game, at that point I probably move to Vooch, but I like both those guys quite a bit. So I don't really have a wrong answer there. Having 5 guys from that game feels fine, and Beal's certainly one I would want a lot of. So, no strong take. 6,200 utility spot. Where would you go for a DKGPP? Steven Adams or Chris Middleton if you don't have them. I assume there is at least one of those you do not possess.
All right. Don't forget, there is a rousing turbo slate today at 8 o'clock, and then you've got the last 2 games of the night are coming in at the other one. We, of course, have rankings for that. We do projections for ownership projections for the late night games. And a reminder, the big giveaway, as we are now 40 seconds from lock. When this video is over, go down to the comment section, put in your favorite sports movie, give us a like, and you will be entered into a drawing for, wait for it, 1 free year of Osmo Premium content. To
Yummy.
1 lucky winner. You can comment on all of our videos, and each one will garner you your name in the drawing, even if you haven't watched the video. Wink, wink, nod, nod. So hit that like button, make a comment. You can really say anything, but to help you guys out, your favorite sports movie. So I know A League of Their Own is going to be up there. Was that my out loud voice? I'm sorry. Bad News Bears, breaking training. There you go.
That's a good one, too.
I ignore Bad News Bears, go to Japan. That never happened.
Yeah, Jackie Earl Haley.
Indeed.
Like Kelly.
All right. Well, we made it, Eddie. We're
not right. I am still erect.
Do you want to do Daddy Like here for
the
one game?
One shitty game Daddy Like. Let's do it.
All right. Let me go over and see if I can get something here on DK. What was the big tournament tonight? Yikes. Was there not? Oh, why was it giving me Showdown?
No, you said you were joining some Showdown, so
but that's just weird.
I'll go ahead and pull it up. We'll let you host it. Usually I just sort of like read my own there. I will let you query me for old times.
Oh, I know what it is.
How we used to do it.
Yeah, the games they haven't crossed over into the database yet.
Yeah, I mean it's just Cleveland and Indiana, right? That's a good game.
Yeah. No, they'll get there. I was looking. It was here we go. It was the Showdown slate from 5 o'clock that was appearing because it was the only game that was currently live. I'm going to go to the $15 fadeaway, Eddie, $400,000. Thank God they're giving 25% of that prize pool to first. Yikes. Let's download the CSV and see what we've got here.
These are going to be my favorite, especially on the Pacers, guys. With all the attention on Charlotte, Atlanta, and Chicago, Washington, the Pacers guys in a great spot are going to be shit owned. That's my projection. We'll see. But
all right. Who is the number 1 owned player from this early game?
Larry Nance.
You are correct. Would you like to hazard a guess? Of course you would.
19%.
Oh, I'm sorry. 23. You are always so damn good at this.
Better than I expected. 23 feels like a reasonable number.
All right, number two and 3 are pretty close together, and then there's a slight dip down to the rest of the scrum. Who do you think number 2 and 3 are?
Yeah, give me a minute on this. Sorry, these 2 games. It could be. It's weird site by site. So it's DK. So the centers are less likely. So it's probably not Miles Turner there. It's probably like low teens. Colin Sexton?
Yes, that is one of the two.
There's no way it's Boshi. There's no way it's Collison. It won't be Miles Turner because he's center only. There's just no way he's going to get up to whatever we're talking about, 10, 12, 13%. I guess it's Marquise Chris.
You are correct, sir. Do you want to hazard their percentages?
I'll say they're, what did I say, 10, 12, 13? I'll average that. And 10 and 12 and 13 is 35 three ways, 11.7.
Chris is 10.7 and Sexton is 9.4. Pretty good. Good. Rounding them out, it's a hodgepodge. The next high zone guys,
but I mean, it's so great for the numbers you're going to get on Thad and Miles Turner here, or even Bojan. All those guys at 3, 5, 7, whatever percent they're going to be.
Yeah. All right, let's hit it. We've got Bojan at 8, Nwaba at 7.8, Clarkston at 7.
Forgot about Nwaba. I had to fuck that up.
Yeah, Miles Turner at 5, Thaddeus Young at 5, Collison at 2, Corey Joseph at 1.4, Domantas Sabonis 1.2, Tyreek Evans 1.2, Dang Adele 0.8, Aaron Holiday 0.4, Zizic 0.1, Dellavedova 0.1, Edmund Sumner. Is he playing?
Yeah, he's active. He has not played himself. He is on the team and active.
We did get one. J.R. Smith, 0.05.
He is on the couch.
Congratulations. He hasn't played in months.
Yeah, and you said 0.05. So that's actually like a dozen entries or something. Like that's bizarre to me. But okay.
Let's see if I can figure out how many he had quickly. He is... Oh my. Yeah, he is on 14 lineups.
14, yeah, I was about to say, I did the rough math in my head, believe it or not. When you went $15, I went, okay, it's probably $300,000 or $400,000. And so I did it. I'm like, it should be around a dozen. So, yeah, it makes sense. Larry Nance on FanDuel, 16%. That's an interesting one. Feels good about that. Yeah, so like here is gonna be the hoping the Memphis guys go to shit again. I guess be real interesting. Like there is a big ceiling now, but like the Anthony Davison news was enough for me to just be like, all right, let's give up on Rob, Karen, Fast Eddie Fear. Say it. Say what?
Daddy like.
Daddy like. Was that it?
That's what they want to hear. That's what they're paying for.
Oh, congratulations! You played yourself. They wanted me to say.
Gotcha.
There you go, J.R. Smith. Congratulations, you played yourself. Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to not drop my DJ Khaled.
All right. Well, we are going to hop on out of here. Reminder, I see you guys putting your favorite movies in the chat. Not the chat, the comments. Comments are going to appear about 40 seconds after I turn this show off. You'll need to refresh the page, and then you will see the comment section down at the bottom. Remember to hit us with a like and put in your favorite movie. That will get you into the drawing that is going to happen on February 13th for 1 full year of Osmo Premium content. If you have not yet signed up for Osmo, you can do a 1-month content, any package, and including any package with the Fantasy Cruncher add-on. Use the promo code LiveBeforeLock, all one word, and you will get 50% off at checkout. With that, we are going to dip on out of here. Remember, next weekend is the All-Star weekend, so we have Rising Stars on Friday and then the All-Star game on Sunday. With that, gamers, good luck.